Hello everybody, my name is Jason Piercey and this is Out of the Fog. On the heels of having a show where you met the Ask team, our sales team, and we talked about some real estate stuff, a bunch of stuff has happened in our market. And I thought we should spend some time talking about it. One in particular is new homes, new home construction, the lack of them. How are they still so expensive? There's prices going through the roof for all of these materials. Why does land cost so much? Where's all this money coming from? These builders are so greedy. Well, there's a story behind all of it. And I think it's stuff that you should know because it'll help you make better decisions. Even where you should spend that extra little bit of money when you're building a house. Do you put it here? Do you put it here? What's the right decision? These are all things that you should know. And guess what? They're things that you're gonna know when you speak to Mr. Greg Collett of Haven Homes and Mr. Nevin Hollett of Gibraltar Fine Homes and Renovations. We'll be right back with both gentlemen right after this. And welcome back to Out of the Fog. I would like to introduce you to a very humble, very kind man. That's true. You got a smirk on your face. I'm not making fun of you on TV. I mean it. This is Mr. Greg Collett, owner-operator of Haven Homes. Hello.
How are you, Jason?
I'm doing all right. I know that at the time of filming, maybe not at the time of airing for anybody who's watching, we're amidst all of the monstrosity and snow that we've had over the last couple of days over the weekend. And I also know that you run a plow on the front of your pickup and you're probably pretty busy.
It was a busy couple of days.
Yeah. So thanks for taking the time to come out here. Just to give the audience context, so like I said in our intro, I want to talk about the state of new home construction in our city and in our province, how some people are a little bit misguided on where they should be spending money and then where they do spend money and materials and all these different things. And I've known Greg for quite some time and we've partnered together on a couple of projects in the past and we will again in the future. So just to get everybody context for who you are and what you do, you build houses and you renovate houses. And how long have you been at this?
I started out in 2002. I've been on my own for 15 years now. It was 15 years November past.
Let's talk about, I'd like to talk about what you notice when you're helping people build homes, because unlike a lot of larger builders in the city, you're very hands-on.
Yep.
And hands-on doesn't only mean you might be there with a hammer or a nail gun. Hands-on also means that despite it slows things down sometimes, you can have a lot of direct contact with the end user,
yep.
The person who's actually gonna make chicken in this kitchen. You might be talking to them about the layout of the kitchen and stuff. So what are you noticing over the last number of years, even since the start of COVID, that where are people spending money in their houses, the things that they are prioritizing? And the goal here is I want to set up what people want to spend their money on, and then maybe we can talk about some of your specialties and sort of present to the audience, well, yes, you're spending your money here, but if you had this guidance, we could change some stuff.
Every house is a little different, I guess, but some people are putting money into basement development, which obviously is a great return.
Yeah.
I like to promote energy efficiency. It doesn't work out that way all the time. I guess people like to take their money for things that people see. Just think there's extra value in the appeal of the house, I guess.
So you're advising people to do what sort of stuff?
I like to promote wall insulation.
Yeah.
So foam on the outside of your house. R22 is the best value we can get in exterior wall right now. Bad insulation. And just upgrade your attic insulation, your basement floor. Just put the money in to get the return back.
Yeah, and so how does that if people put their money there, how does that translate to like dollars and cents over time? Like, because everybody's like, well, yeah, it was insulation, but like, is it sort of like a not all things are created equal sort of circumstance, or if you got like we got all kinds of insulation, but like your plugs are drafty and stuff like that. So like, where is, because you've done some certification in how to test a home and see like where the holes in it are.
Yeah, I done some stuff with a local company, and we just talked about air sealing. People don't realize you seal off the exterior of your house and add insulation. It also provides a lot of value in energy efficiency. And I mean, over a 25-year amortization, you're saving, the numbers change obviously per house.
Yeah.
But you're saving hundreds of dollars a year, thousands of dollars a year. So if you add that up over 25 years, that's money that you can invest elsewhere in the house.
But let's just say you got a 1,200 square foot split entry home. That's a very typical St. John's home.
Yep.
To do some of the energy efficiency stuff that you would recommend, and I won't hold you to this, but ballpark, not including what it costs to build the rest of it, what are the upgrades? What are the extra fees? Like about how much?
I would say around $7,000, $7,500. So add some insulation to the exterior walls, mini split heat pump, which is a great savings, and just upgrade your attic insulation. That'd be some form of ballpark on it. Yeah.
And is there, how they're installed, does that matter? Or do they just have to be there? Because you mentioned air sealing too, because like you can put a whole bunch of like thick, rigid, that blue, heavy, rigid foam on the outside of a house.
Yep.
But if they're not, I can only imagine if they're like butt up against one another and they're not like sealed, like wind can still get in there.
Yeah. So we do some air sealing on the joins and the plywood to start with, and then there's another air sealing done on the foam on the outside if people add foam to their house.
So the like the wall sheeting, the plywood that goes on the outside of your studded walls, you're sealing the air gaps between that.
Yeah. At the 4-foot join, we'll do an air seal on the inside.
And that translates into better efficiency?
Yeah.
So all those little tiny things. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of fellows framing crews in the city who take time to just, so what do you seal it with? Some kind of a caulking or
Acoustic,
something?
yeah.
Yeah, acoustic sealing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that seems like a little bit arduous, like a bit of an annoying.
Yeah, it is, but after speaking to the local company about energy efficiency and stuff, there's just a little attention to detail that can give back to the customer.
So for $7,500 on your typical house, you're bringing yourself to like that much higher of an energy efficiency rating. And that's about, do you have any idea the number sort of how much better that is?
Once again, every house is different, but what we've been doing is getting a blower door test done on a house. So that'll tell if you meet.
Can you describe a blower door test for anybody who don't know?
Basically, your house is closed off, everything is closed, there's a tight seal on the house, and you set up this system on the front, and it sucks all air, and it just gives
Close
you,
all your windows and doors, put a big fan on the front door, and pull
gives
all
you
the air out of it.
pressure, and just it gives you a rating. And if you meet certain EnerGuide standards, there's kickbacks through CMHC, there's rebates for new home construction, energy efficiency stuff.
So you'll spend your $7,500, you'll get X amount back, like CMHC cuts you a check or whatever, and your light bill gets cut, what, 25, 30, 50%? I guess it depends on the house.
Yeah,
it's
it
hard to
depends
say.
on the house.
Yeah. And so people are choosing, you're saying not to spend that money?
Not all people are choosing not to spend that money, but there are some people that, I guess, it's either not in their budget, they decided to put it elsewhere. I can just give my opinion on it. And talk to people and give them my knowledge and what I've seen over the past. But to me, it's a no-brainer. Just take the money. Like, it's a lot harder to go after the fact and take your siding, windows, and doors out to put foam on your walls than it is to replace a fancy countertop. Or
like if you wanted to spend $6,000 on like
or
a quartz countertop or something, like
it
it feels to me like That's like next year's good tax return. Like it's so much more expensive to up the energy efficiency after the fact.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you could say to people such that they would listen, and I know being in real estate myself, it's hard sometimes to give people the best advice because they can think, well, of course that's what he's saying, he's going to make money off of that, or whatever. But like, without any ulterior motive, even people who are home now, who are already thinking about, we're already in the middle of building a house and deciding where to spend that last 5 or 10 grand, like, you would say, what, exterior foam, exterior rigid foam?
Yeah. Your heating source, I mean, if you went with, baseboard heaters are efficient if the house is done right.
Yes.
So if you did baseboard heaters and just upgraded to a mini split, it just cuts down on the usage of your baseboard heaters.
And it becomes like a supplementary system.
Yes,
like they tag
exactly.
team. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And upgrade your attic insulation.
So what does upgraded attic insulation mean? Like what do you have to do and what should you do?
I think the code right now is R40, and we've always been doing R50.
Okay.
So we're just adding.
And that's not that much more. It can't be that much more money.
It's not a huge cost on a house on the big scheme.
I mean, it's hard to build anything for less than 350 or 400 grand now anyway. So what's $7,500 to save you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, thanks for taking the time to come in when you're obviously very busy. And I mean, I can text you my address. You want to bring your plow by there anytime. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Nice.
Or anybody else here who's, you could just, he'll get you. Thanks for coming out. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Lots of good information. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this break. And welcome back to Out of the Fog. Okay, so sitting here with me now in a lovely green sweater. I was really hoping that you would wear like one of your like, would you call them a blouse? So you got a fine blouse on. If you got one that's like really full of all nice patterns and stuff. And
I just felt that after a weekend of snow, it's a sweater day. It's not a blouse day.
it's a sweater day.
Yeah.
Sure. This is Nevin Hollett. You've been on this couch with me before, years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a long time ago. We were talking about the real estate market in general. You've got a long history in that industry, but today we're going to speak more about new home construction,
Absolutely.
the State of the Union. Let's start with a little bit of your history, your experience, and I'm not like horn honking as such, but more providing context for people to understand, okay, that's why this guy's opinion might matter to me.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I co-started a construction company out of university, and that company led me into real estate as a realtor. And as a realtor, in the early part of my career, I was almost 100% new construction. So I feel like basically my entire adult life, I've been in the new construction industry, either in some sort of construction company capacity or as a realtor selling the product, working with builders, working with buyers, buying new homes, you name it. And then, in recent years, I've gotten back into construction ownership and have become a owner in Gibraltar Fine Homes. And so we do a lot of custom home building around St. John's Metro. But, in addition to that, we still have a real estate team, and we're still very active in the real estate market. And we obviously, because of my experience and background, do a lot of new home construction.
It's an expertise.
In general.
Yeah.
So even though, yes, I build homes, but I also sell homes for other builders as well. So somehow I've gotten myself, for nearly 20 years in this industry, and I can't seem to, any which way I turn, I still seem like I'm smack dab in the middle of it.
And that's kind of the same for me to a degree, because I'm like I don't even know exactly 12-ish years at this now. And I grew up in construction. My father and all of his brothers, my grandfather are all contractors, carpenters. Like the house I grew up in was never the same house 2 years in a row. There was always something added or subtracted or changed. So, but I have this affinity to new home business as well, which is why because Mr. Greg Collett, who you know,
Yes, yeah.
fantastic builder, and
Amazing builder.
when I took some time off there last year, you and Greg did some work together. It was
Yeah.
good. So he's the other half of this story, sort of, as
Yep.
we try and educate the audience into the state of our local new home market and how to make good decisions moving forward. So with Gibraltar Fine Homes, you also do some land acquisition, development, and like planning of small sub-communities.
Yeah.
Do you see value in us having that conversation, or should we speak more about some of the other stuff? Like for the audience to really know what to do.
Well, I mean, I think we can speak a bit about the land. Like there's right now, land is very expensive as an input cost into building a home. And there's the reason for that is, there's not a lot of developed land out there, and people are wondering, well, why is there not more developments? The real estate market's on fire, record sales, most sales volume ever in history. How come there are not new subdivisions coming up? That has a lot to do with like regulation and the land that's available, how it ties into infrastructure.
Regulation?
Yeah,
okay.
and not to harp on that, but a subdivision doesn't fall out of the sky. It has to tie into municipal infrastructure and stuff, and there's different areas where
So like water and sewer and roads.
water and sewer, storm sewer, these different kind of components, and a lot of areas, this infrastructure is at its capacity, so it's hard to tie into, and there's just various issues and stuff. So, and zoning is an issue, so like also if. Like right now, I would say, and anybody watching this would probably agree, we have a real problem with lack of affordability, particularly in new homes. And part of the issue with that is that requires a certain zoning. You cannot just build higher density property wherever you want.
It's got to fit into, so by zoning,
Yeah.
the municipality, any individual municipality, has outlined on sort of like a gross map of their whole area what sections are allowed to be used for which purpose.
Yeah, each municipality would have a municipal plan.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you have different zoning types. So like the typical, what you see mostly around St. John's Metro, St. John's, Mount Pearl, Paradise, whatnot, are 50 by 100 service lots. So they're on municipal water, municipal sewer, and that's the typical size. Well, that would be like an R1 zone, say in St. John's. Well, if you have duplexes or townhomes,
They're on smaller lots. and
that's
it's
a different
more-
zoning. There's R2, there's R3. Then there's apartment zoning that would allow you to put in apartments or condos or whatnot. So, unfortunately, in my opinion, in St. John's Metro, that, and so not just the city of St. John's, is that we don't have enough zoning for higher density.
And so the translation there with affordability is higher density means more houses on smaller pieces of land, smaller houses, less cost, and the
Yeah.
land costs less, and the house
Absolutely.
is smaller.
Yeah. So when you're, basically, your final price on a home is the input of land, materials, labor, profit for the builder, and HST, and that's your final price. With density, you reduce your land cost per door.
Yeah.
So that comes down. Obviously, if you're able to, if you're building like multi-unit or attached units and stuff.
You got like an economies of
your-
scale there.
Absolutely, and your cost of construction's down. All of that kind of stuff comes down. Profit's basically done on a percentage basis, so the lower the price, generally the lower of the profit, and then HST is on top of it, so if the HST is on a smaller number, so it's very much a cascading effect
So
to get to lower pricing. So, this is why I want to bring up the land thing, because, there'll be conversations around affordable housing, and people are wondering, like, generally how you fix affordable housing is with supply. And if you look around our market, you're not seeing a lot of builder supply, and it's not from a lack of interest from builders. I mean, I've built a lot of like higher density developments, around Metro in the last, 10 years or
Yeah,
whatever.
a couple in Mount
I
Pearl.
would do one. I would start one tomorrow if I had one available. I think the market is there for it, but it's just that's an issue. So, that's something I would like people to understand. It's not a lack of interest or will from developers. It's a larger problem.
So as a way of, I guess the land thing is obviously a very important part of the affordability question. So you, knowing the industry, understanding a little bit about finance and how to safeguard your investment with building a new home. If you were, from the ground up, building yourself a new home now for yourself and your family, what is the maximum percentage of your total purchase price you would allow to be attributed to the building lot?
20% or so. You know, really.
So if you're spending 400,000,
yeah.
you can't spend more than 100 on land.
No, well, that'd be 80, right? You know, it's this is the
And that's the
that we have.
problem, because I know that if you're looking for a new house right now, or you're looking to build a house, and builders are trying to build something, and they've got a $100,000 building lot, if they don't build something over 500 grand, they spent too much money on the land, and then will the market respond
Well, it's just back
to
to
500
that,
grand?
but it's back to that equation. That's all that makes
just
it
too
up.
much.
So you know, you can, the price at the end is an output from the inputs.
Yeah.
So like that's an issue, but also like back to like what's required now. Back like to some of this infrastructure stuff. What's required to create a lot is, and like there's incredible
And
costs.
there's so
and
much time.
Well, there's a lot of work right now and costs associated with water retention, like what to do with water. Climate change is a real issue from a land development standpoint. You know, so what do we do with the excess water? I mean, look at the snowstorm we had just this past weekend.
Yep.
A few years ago, we had snowmageddon. We've had we've had hurricanes come through. Like this is a real issue.
We
and
need
the
to engineer for this.
Yes, but that all has a cost, and then it's a cost per lot. So like everything on land is upward pressure.
On
And
pricing,
on
yes.
pricing. And this is what is making it so difficult as an industry to build, you know, mid-level, low-level, entry-level product, which is one of the functions builders serve in the real estate market, is provide product.
Yeah.
And right now, we're sort of pigeonholed really into the upper end of the market.
Because I'm thinking the best builders, the most strategic builders, not necessarily the best, they find the holes in the market where we don't have things and try and fill in those gaps. There's upward pressure on pricing due to land costs. There's upward pressure on pricing due to materials costs. There's upward pressure on pricing due to labor costs. And there's downward pressure on pricing due to high interest rates. And upward pressure on pricing due to supply problems.
Yes.
And the only hole that is in there is to remove the builder's revenue, their actual profit from it, which is why it's so hard to get something affordable. And people are like,
Well, I saw that-
builders are charging too much. Now the builders are making less than, like, because I remember 10 years ago how much money you made if you built a new house. You might make a third of that now or less.
Absolutely. And this, but so that's there's a real economics issue here. Like building a home for a builder now is not necessarily that viable of an option. So that's why you see so much less building, despite our real estate market being so strong. So if you look back to our original oil boom, I mean, I think in the city one year we and this number could be wrong, but I think it was like 2,600 starts. Like there was a huge number of housing
I
starts.
remember doing nearly 100 one year back when we worked together.
Well, in the last 2 years, in the hottest real estate market of all time, so the most sales volume period, I believe there was only 1 month in 2 years. I saw this stat like a month or two ago. There was only 1 month in 2 years where there was 100 starts. Everything else was under 100. So let's just say the best market ever, we're probably doing less than 1,000 starts or something like that, where we should be at 3,000, 35. There's demand. Look, try to rent something.
Yeah.
There's like 0%
Okay,
vacancy,
so
people
just to
lined up.
talk-
So there's a supply issue here in the market overall, because that's why like there's not a lot of property for sale. If you look at the MLS, it's the inventory's low, and also if you look in the rental market, the vacancy rate is frighteningly low.
Yeah.
So there's a supply problem, but because of these issues with land, building materials, labor costs, which you can't begrudge people
Is
for
there a
getting
way
paid.
to fix it? How does the market respond to, how does that happen? Does it
I
push
don't know.
long and hard enough until landowners, the raw land, are like, okay, we're worth less an acre now, obviously? Like that
Potentially, but
seems
even
like the end
even
result.
from taking raw land to market is a multi-year process. So that doesn't fix itself. I do think that the quickest relief we're going to see is on building materials. So
That's not yet either.
no, but I'm going to say it should be, because I was just shared a document on Thursday past. I was on a national Twitter space thing, and it was about the market. And an economist person in Ontario shared to me, because I was saying that, you know, we're still getting problems with materials. Like the first email I got in 2023 was windows are up 5% immediately.
That's
window
nuts.
costs. So, and he shared it really shouldn't be at this point. And in the U.S., which really drives the market, because our economies are so intertwined and they're just the bigger consumer, every single product to build a home, and I mean everything, is deflationary now. In Q4,
So
it
it's
was
a matter
all down in price.
okay, so
and it's coming
there's
down
a
now.
time.
So
Okay.
there's a lag. So at some
Yeah.
point, we should see it here in our market where building materials will pull back. So that will be downward pressure. We just haven't seen it yet.
And we got to respond to it. It's hard for us to see it because there's not enough business coming through because people can't start.
Yeah. So I just don't know at what time.
Yeah.
Time does it lag
Yeah.
through? You know. So is that
Well,
this year or is it 2024?
Nevin, I feel like, much like every time we speak, it could go on for hours and hours.
Yeah.
But I'd like to thank you very much for being so informative.
Yeah.
I
appreciate
and
it.
I'm sure the audience would as well. Good luck to you in your future endeavors moving forward. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this. All right, folks. So you just met two gentlemen who I have a great deal of respect for, and I've learned a great deal from, both when it comes to real estate and construction, but also humanity and being good to clients and good to people in general. You can place trust in the words that come out of both of their mouths, just like I would hope you can place trust in the words that come out of my mouth. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for always being here. We appreciate your support. And I'm going to be back with another real interesting one real soon. We'll see you then.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running.